Welcome back, everybody, to day 2 of VCT Game Changers APAC Open 2. We just saw Team SMG continue their run over here, their almost perfect run. And in other news, water is wet. But in other news, we also do have our first elimination match of Open 2 decks. And I hate to say that we have to say goodbye because it feels like we barely got to know these teams.
It's always that case once we come into day number 2. When you go to your first lower bracket matchup, it's just a heartbreaker for one of these two teams. And well, as SMG just rides off into the sunset towards the upper bracket finals, basically, here the lower bracket, it's gonna be an interesting one. Big Sight versus RRQ Kaguya. And I think really the first issue we need to talk about here, Mika, who would expect RRQ Kaguya to be in this position this early on into the playoff brackets?
Exactly. I did not expect this, but I mean, they had the luck of the draw going up against Full Sense Sapphire. Again, like, just because they are in the lower bracket doesn't say anything. They did lose a 2-0 against Sapphire, but that doesn't say anything, like, with how close that series was, right? RRQ Kaguya are definitely I would say one of the front runners, definitely, to challenge Team SMG for that throne, right? I feel like it's RRQ. It is Full Sense Sapphire definitely hovering over them and closing in on Team SMG. But right now, they have to make it through this lower bracket right here. Ayumi, Bess, Iceberg, Aluka, and Capricious definitely have a lot to offer. And as we saw yesterday, that double duelist is kind of like RQ here, double wielding Ayumi and Aluka here to, all of their victories here. They are so powerful with that combo.
Yeah, strongest guns that they have into the roster. You'll also look at Capricious, their newest addition, really moving over to that controller role. One thing I noticed for RQ Kaguya, they actually have a bit more of a rotation between Napsky and Iceberg, having some of those core players from before fill in as role players right now in their current setup.
Yeah, and right now they will be up against a big size, right? We do see Crescent's March, Oreophilia, Sky Elise, and Yamori here ready for the challenge. And I do see, I spot with my little eye, a little reunion as well.
Yeah.
Because as we do know that Oreophilia used to play with the core of the RQ Kaguya roster in the former alter ego Celeste, right? So there's a little bit of history there. So I feel like, Big Scythe, I know that they can be a little wild hardy at times.
Yeah.
Like, they have their moments. Against RRQ, though, that's a big question.
Yeah, they're very competitive. We remember yesterday, especially, they went on that, 7-round streak to tie it up, go over to overtime. And many of those reasons, many of those situations were carried by Oreophilia and her presence. Not only that, though, March has been stellar on the shot calls. You also have players like Yamori stepping up, Sky Elise as well, their newest addition, figuring out how to fit in well for a Big Sights roster. And it really just goes to show here for many of these teams that when they look to just build on what they had from Open 1 to Open 2, they become competitive, and Big Sight is a good example of that.
And as we see our maps right now, we are heading into Pearl first. We just came from here, Dax. We are heading into Pearl first, and then into Ascent, and potentially Haven right here. And, I want to actually turn our attention to an interesting head-to-head between these two teams, Oreophilia and Capricious, right? Capricious is now playing with Oreo's former squad.
Yep.
And Oreo might want to show her how it's done.
Yeah, and especially that Capricious is the one flexing over to that controller. We remember her from Orangutan X last Open, having some strong moments, especially against RRQ Kaguya themselves on the jet roll. But when you look at Pearl, when you look at Ascent, these are maps that have been pretty much favored so far for the side of RRQ Kaguya. But as far as I know, these two teams have met in the Swiss stage this Open itself. And one of the victories Big Sight took against the side of RRQ Kaguya was on Ascent. So there is a bit of that history right now they're building on in this tournament alone.
Yeah, it's looking like they want to remind RRQ of that, right? But RRQ, they did pick Pearl, and they are starting on attack. I already see, the raise satchels in. I already see the updrafts in already from Aluka and Ayumi. It's like it's haunting me from yesterday or something. You can definitely tell they want to do this, and they're gonna be starting on attack. That's very, very strong. I feel like the momentum is gonna swing heavily in the side of RRQ within these first few rounds.
Yeah, and that was mostly their round scores from yesterday, right? They took 8 out of the 4 rounds, tied it up to go for that attempted comeback versus Full Sense Sapphire. And that's the feeling right now for both of these teams. They were both so close from taking those overtime wins. They were so close at making those comebacks happen, basically. But since they couldn't, they have fallen to the lower bracket. And it just goes to show how cutthroat the composition and the competition is here at Open number 2. It's getting closer and closer compared to last time around we were here in Game Changers.
Yes, very, very close indeed. And we do know that, RRQ Kaguya, if you can manage to push them into an overtime, actually, you'd be very, very lucky. But Big Scythe, as I mentioned, they are a bit of a wild card here. And I think the addition of like Oreophilia onto their side is a massive win, especially since she knows the players of RRQ Kaguya very, very well. But it seems like, ooh, this is interesting on the side of RRQ. They are not going for the top duelist, and instead, well, we're gonna have Ayumi and Yamori go head to head on that Jet showdown.
Yeah, it's just I'm honestly looking besides the possibilities for Yumi and Yamori finding those openings, Oreophilia versus Best instead. Capricious moving over to the Fade. This is something that they've run against Full Sense Sapphire back in the Swiss stage. But on the other side, for Big Side, playing that double wall is all about coordination. But with a team that has been used to playing with Oreophilia for quite a lot, to really rely on that controller, they should have good chance to fight back with just paths that they're able to make around the map.
Well, it looks like this is a very interesting matchup indeed. A lot of history between these two teams, a lot of history between these players, and we're gonna see who manages to take Pearl right here. So, casters, over to you guys.
Thank you so much for breaking that down, Mika and Dax. And yes, this is a very somewhat even matchup. They are very familiar with each other, and at the same time, somewhat, again, you're going to have that jet-to-jet. You're going to have a lot of similarities between both teams.
Yeah, and a lot of history as well when it comes to even playing against each other in Open 2, because during the group stages or the Robins, right, I think there was... Actually, RRQ Kaguya beat Big Scythe, so it was also a best of 3, but this time it's going to be the playoffs, so there's a lot at stake for Big Scythe to try and uncover. But we know Big Scythe to be a team that is, I think Mika mentioned that they're really a wild card here. But in terms of being a wild card, right, they also offer a lot because they beat Full Sense Sapphire, at least in Open 1. And, if my analogy is correct, if Full Sense Sapphire beat RRQ Kaguya and Big Scythe beat Full Sense Sapphire in Open 1, then is Big Scythe gonna win this? I mean, that's just an analogy, but it's all up to them for this map of Pearl.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rematch in that sense, right? Because the last time that they did go against each other, yes, RRQ, we talked about it, how strong they are. But at the same time, the way their map picks went, the next one is going to be Ascent still. So there are a lot of chances, but with the way the agent compositions are at this very moment, it's somewhat similar. The one difference being the initiators that they have. You also have the Sentinel on the side of Big Scythe as opposed to the double initiator. So you can expect RRQ Kaguya to go with a lot more aggression, but at the same time, maybe a bit more control from Big Scythe, and that's what you want to see for them starting on the defensive side. Now, just kind of holding, I believe Elise has heard those footsteps, and that's why she's falling back. You can see their rotations slowly starting to make their way across the map as well. But I think we're just going to give away this A site to RRQ for the time being.
Yeah, they immediately give up control, but that means RRQ and Ayumi has already taken control together with Aloka. And this is going to be a bloodbath here towards the back side, but no kills just yet. An exchange of kills for Big and RRQ, a 3v3.
Grounded.
Continuing to push up front still, and Ayumi manages to stay alive, getting a couple more frags. The right clicks from Capricious now, and the site is completely clear. Oreophilia, the only one left. 2 players are low, so this is not impossible. She's playing up around the snake bites, expecting that they won't see her coming from this one spot. Does get the dig, but not the frag. Iceberg down to 2 HP, able to crouch down and finish things off. It's a 1-0, and RRQ managed to pick up the first round.
Yeah, that is going to be the consequence, right? Look at the space that RRQ and Kaguya have already taken away from Big Side just because of that small movement towards the back. Immediately RRQ takes advantage of that, and they just really remain in control for that. I think there were kills given here by Oreophilia for the team, but RRQ, if it's a 1v3, even if you're low, there is still a chance for a triple peak to come in.
Just a really quick response, right? And then also, right now, gambling on the fact that it could be an A-site hit. It's going to be Big Scythe pushing together his team, but this leaves B completely open, so the spike will go down, and we do have Iceberg kind of watching the flank. The rest of the squad, I'm kind of curious what they will do, because they could push up further front. Iceberg still hiding up around ramps, gets the first spot, instantly pops the poison cloud, and then the snake, so they can't push past this. Capricious sends out a Prowler as well and confirms that there are even more on the other side. You have Elise going through to Halza, and that's where she does a little bit of damage. Best trades, and now it's up to Yamori to try to find a couple more frags. It kind of doesn't really happen though. The Spectre's starting to spray and sound off, and that's going to be RRQ securing this second round win, only dropping a Yuumi.
Yeah, and when it comes down to that retake, right, that one agent who did all of the damage there was really Iceberg, providing coverage with that poison cloud, but at the same time that snake bite, it actually left Crescents with just 2 HP, and they weren't really prepared for that. So when the smokes went down already, so
Placing swarm grenade.
RRQ was just able to get 3 kills out of that.
So many. And with that, they managed to bring their weapons into the next round. Best buys back up, and some of them have Vandals now. So this could be a pretty good bonus round for RRQ, and Big has to be very careful about how they want to defend this. You've got the walls, you've got the utility on this site, but it doesn't quite matter if RRQ just dashes straight in. Already towards the backup hall. With the high tide blocking them off, it's going to be tough for Big Side to come in and do a little bit of damage. So the spike goes down anyways. Bit of a spray through the wall, and a Yuumi managed to tag the Crescents down. Trying to push past it though is going to be Marsh, and Naluka finds her head. So all of a sudden, Big Scythe not quite able to answer back. Trying to fall back, and now Yamori, a bit of a tailwind through. She managed to recenter her team, gets Iceberg, but then as soon as that high tide drops, it's easy frags for RRQ. They do get this bonus.
Yeah, that's all about the control, right, and the ability of Team RRQ to just put down the spike, but then defend it in their own way possible. And the kills given there by RRQ were just with marshals, with sheriffs, and at the same time they picked up all of the guns that Big Scythe already purchased in the last round. This time, you know, sometimes when we take a look at the bonus round, we say that will be what will define the score already, or at least if it's going to be a win or a loss. But Big Scythe, they have a chance to at least recover from this, since they only lost 3 rounds in a row. But RRQ, they're on a roll here when it comes to, you know, how they slow push, how they take control of the site, and how they would reposition to try and defend it. And I think that's what really is the perfect combination that RRQ is showing us here in the map.
That slow push again, right? They're slowly creeping up to A main, suddenly dashing into the A site. Marsh managing to get 1 though, and that's coming up from Art. As the hit does go through, Spike will get planted, but Yumi continues to push further deeper in. And that's where she gets diffed by Yamori and her Sheriff. So, not quite the free weapon upgrade yet, as RRQ instantly responds and goes in to hold down some of these positions. But now, they have to watch their backs. Crescent's coming up from main. Elise just going outside of Flower. Iceberg, the only one left. She goes in for the spray and manages to control recall for a second frag. But then, here comes Crescent. So big, they managed to pull off the Thrifty.
I love that we're seeing a lot of thrifties here in the map of Pearl, because, you know, there's a lot of potential to try and regain control of the site, especially if you have the combination of utility for Big Scythe. And given that both of these teams have a double controller, at least RRQ Kaguya, with how they use it for the push, right, they just potentially use all of Iceberg's smokes to try and control that. But when it comes to the push, it's all of the Harper utility. At least for Big Scythe, what they did was a similar manner when they tried to reclaim that site for themselves. But it's also all of the kills, that precision with their guns that made them win that round. And that's going to be a confidence boost, right? With getting a Thrifty And now continuing here,
Whoa.
pushing forward against RRQ
Wow.
and Oreophilia getting the first kill.
Even using that poison cloud to actually sneak up onto Iceberg. It's her own poison cloud too, so that one's going to be painful. But RRQ does recognize the fact that A is going to be less defended, so they just push in off the high tide. They get this, well, not a spike down yet. Nanostorm does burn the time a little bit. Now it goes down. Reckoning gets spent as well, so Best trying to fight back. Ayumi just stands her ground and shoots away Oreophilia. Still, it's going to be a little bit more time as the lockdown gets planted. Crescent's trying to go further up front off of it. Poison Cloud blocked off main, and now all they have to worry about is Art. Ayumi waits for the lockdown to dissipate. Has her teammate here as well. Bit of a pop flash, but their backs are turned because of it. Elise gets another, and now the only one left, Caprice, is so low, 15 HP. Can't withstand those classic right clicks, so Elise, 3K on the board and 2-3 for Big Scythe.
2 ultimates spent for Big Scythe at that round, but I think everything else was worth it. First, the Reckoning to avoid RRQ Kaguya from repositioning after that spike plant, and then immediately following up with that lockdown from Sky Elise. Now, I mean, everything was slow. It was able to buy them time, and then just really find the perfect timing to retake that site. And given that the space was theirs, the kill was theirs, and RRQ, they have to be able to try and claim this without, you know, and they have their own ultimates to use. They used one already for the KO.
Face your fear!
Yeah, RQ possibly losing momentum in this round if they can't string it together, but so far so good. They managed to push in. Gamori tried to spray them away, but Best manages to trade. So now Viper's Pit out, and that's going to be the spike planted as well. Elise trying to fire some shots through Flower, but look at the positioning of this. It can cover so much, and it's a little bit difficult for Big Scythe to actually push this. They need kind of maybe some flashes from Mars or anything, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. They're just trying to position themselves together. There it goes. Catalyst into the site, but Best is holding down the angle. Ayumi finds one as well, and that's going to be the entire round for RRQ Kaguya.
Yeah, they went in there without any use of utility. They just wanted to peek out, figure out where they currently are within the Viper's Pit, probably provide a bit of spams for the person who is outside of that specific pit. But no, they were back to back. I love the positioning of RRQ Kaguya, Bess and Ayumi back to back in that Viper's Pit, so that they have all of the coverage. If there is going to be somebody pushing out through Art, then they get the kills. But if they go through the back of the site, then immediately, you know, the eyes gaze at where Big Scythe is. And RRQ is so quick when it comes to these kills, especially within the Viper's Pit.
They're so smart with it too, how fast they decide to go in and put that Viper's Pit up. Now it's back towards mid. Crescent holds it down. Oh my god, the double spray transfer. Best fires back off with a double of her own. Just instantly snapping towards the end of B-Link. A Haunt clears out the other part of the site, and then the high tide just to block it off. What they don't know though is that there is a person up by B main, and that's gonna be Yamori. Well, I say that. Capricious just turns back around and has her sights on. Oreophilia and Elise are the only ones left, and they are blocked off by this high tide, which does drop, so go back to a low tide. And then, how do you push out?
One enemy remaining.
You only have, well, a bit of harbor utility. It's not even gonna happen because of the angles being held by RRQ, so it's a 5-2 donut.
Yeah, even that high tide didn't give them that much space, right? Because of our planted down there near the spike, and it's not gonna give you coverage. I love that kill though from Capricious. They know they were so careful. They took caution when it came down to even planting the spike. They wanted to be safe because they didn't clear the whole of B long. And once that spike trigger was done, Capricious was so ready to get that headshot. And I mean, her flexibility for this as a fade has given them a lot of value in this attack. And Big Sight, they have to know how to counter that. They always seem to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. They place their bets towards mid, they go towards A, and there's nothing in RRQ. That's a free plant immediately.
It could be
Spike
a
planted.
good flank, maybe, if they time this right. Capricious still so cognizant, she's going to watch out the back, along with help from Alka as well. And the pop flash, these two initiators trying to do what they can to fend off these forces coming through. Managing to take out another Sheriff. Oriophilia is the only one left now, and she's trying to fight through B-Link. Well, it's going to be RRQ pulling outside from Hull, though. It's not going to be easy, and you've already spent one cascade. Might as well go for a little bit more. Some more damage will be nice. But at the same time, you don't want to give out points away, so she's going to try, making use of the toxic screen, trying to find them. They've all evacuated the site, though. So I guess we're just going to have to die to the spike, and that's going to be now a booming momentum for RRQ.
Yeah, and they're so quick as well. If they know that nobody's there towards the site, they try and cover these unconventional places. And even here, Alaka already knew that there's a potential flag from the site. Although they did get 2 kills, in exchange of that would be a round loss. So now they get into a timeout. They have to think about a strategy on how to counter this, because RRQ, you mentioned the momentum for them. But when they heat up, especially with this team, right? The combination of Alaka and Ayumi being Alka being a pseudo duelist for the team, and Capricious too, as that fade, it's gonna be hard to try and boil your own warm soup against the team of RRQ. Big Scythe, they just really have to be able to figure out where RRQ is treading, because early on the rounds, when they would bet towards mid, RRQ seems to have a good idea where Big Scythe isn't. And they get the free plants, they get the free kills, and the post plants too for RRQ. They're solid.
Yeah, and that's really how RRQ makes use of that information, or rather lack of information, in fact. Because if Big Scythe aren't here, that means they're on the other part of the map, and there's only so many different routes that they can take to get to the site. So RQ really just nails down those post-plant positions, and like we saw over by B Long, it really doesn't go Big Scythe's way. So maybe back to a default hold is what we need, and that's why you see all that Killjoy utility up on the A site, the rest of them trying to hold up by B Link and Art. If RRQ pushes in, this is very similar to the pistol round, just that this time Big Scythe has the weaponry. Trying to watch down all the way from the back of Secret's going to be Elise. The high tide does come in though, so vision going to be obscured. I don't know how much this utility can do.
Not much though, it's been broken down here on the site, but Oriophilia has a good idea. Try and push forward at the right moment, but Best was so ready with that 2K! Exchanges of kills, but it's a 3v2 for RRQ.
And that brings us back to it. Big trying to retake the site still, but not that much space, at least until Marsh lands the shots on towards A main. A quick double kill, and the only one left is going to be Iceberg. Viper's Pit out from Crescents as well, and that's going to be the snake bite to push her back. She cannot press the issue. The spike will be defused, and off the timeout, Big Scythe. They managed to bring us back to a 3-6.
Yeah, Iceberg's snake bite was thrown too close to her, and it didn't really affect the area where the spike was. So that's why she couldn't just be pushed, but she didn't even deal damage to the ones defusing it. So, and even if she spammed through that smoke, she would easily be identified, and she could have also be spammed inside of it. So I think Big Scythe, they have a good role here in terms of winning that retake, information play, and Marsh just really going big as the sky.
It was Marsh getting those shots on the A main. Made a 2-on-3 into a 2-on-1. Still though, next round. This time they're getting spammed through. Elise, unfortunately, not able to hold Art. A second player falls, and RRQ will have so much space to work with. Yamori tries to push out a link along with her friend. Iceberg just watches the angle. What a lurk. And that leaves us with
Spike
just
planted.
a lonely little Crescent outside of defender spawn. She has to, I guess, go for exit frags at this point, because anywhere that she peeks out, there's going to be an entire squad waiting for her. Ayumi pushes into her along with help from Bez, I believe. Doesn't clear the corner. A shot fired, and Crescent's able to recenter her aim, gets the double. All right, well, now we have information, but RRQ aren't really going hunting yet.
Not yet, because it might also be risky for them. Crescent's already got two. Ayumi and Bess didn't really care to check so deep into that corner. I mean, Ayumi did see a bit of it, but they missed entirely the whole body of the Viper. And if they go out for the hunt, it would be risky for them. They need to be able to at least stack up a healthy amount of credits for them to at least, you know, supplement that momentum that they already have in their aim, their firepower. So it has to be assisted by that too.
Enemy down. One enemy remaining.
So much that I think BIGG has to think about. Because so far, their defenses haven't really been strong. A lot of times you just see RRQ being able to sneak their way in or bulldoze their way into sites, in fact. Now that they have the momentum, BIGG side, they don't have the economy. These are the last 2 rounds of the first half. And if we can't make it, you know, a 7-5, at the very least, maybe an 8-4, a 9-3, I don't know about the curses anymore, don't it?
I think we've been proven wrong by all of those 9-3 scorelines. We initially believed that to be, but we've seen also some break into that 50-50. It really depends on the team, right? And how they make use of all of that. But RRQ push forward here, and this time they check the corner. Yamori's down.
It's just the first of the dominoes to fall. Ayumi, look at how she goes straight into her cloud burst. Crescent was ready for it, but her teammate comes in. Alaka dismissing away Crescent's double kill. We're back into it. Ophelia trying to spray through the high tide this time, but it's easily dealt against by Alaka. Elise is the only one left. She's got a lockdown, but has to save that for the last round instead. So with only a Sheriff for a name, she tries to go in for the peak, but walking too slowly, Capricious expects the angle and turns the score to an 8-3.
Last round before the switch.
I mean, when it comes down to what you mentioned, right, in the last round, you said that RRQ is moving like a bulldozer. Anything of a barrier in their way, they just try and destroy it. But, you know, I see some points and some silver linings for Big Scythe, especially for Crescent here. She's been delivering a lot of kills for the team. At the moment, of course, she has 10 kills, but she makes a lot of impact when it comes to the kills.
Get out of my way!
Now that she has that, it also is a big weight on other members' shoulders for Big Scythe. Or Ophelia, she has to have the perfect timing for all of her harbor utility, and even Marsh here with that information. She hasn't been really doing so well with providing that information or creating more actionable things for the team. Like, look at that. She already spent 2 of her guiding lights, but they still don't know if they're pushing forward.
I guess now they do it at nightfall. Yeah, you were talking about it, and they need to be able to delay them. So thankfully, this toxic screen and now the well-timed snake bite just buys a little bit more time, allows for Crescents to find one. Ayumi whips her blades, and this gives Crescents a bit of room to reload. Cove gets sent down trying to bait out the plant. Doesn't quite go through. Marsh puts out, Elise puts out the lockdown. So, Big Scythe's still in control, but low HP. They get sprayed out by the members from RRQ. Back to a 2-on-1, and Elise is at 9.
One enemy
has to kind of fall back, does get the detain, and finds one shot. Alaka now looking for her with the Phantom. Easy burst with a higher fire rate just secures a frag, so we're up to a 9-3 first half.
Yeah, I mean, RRQ is just bulldozing their way here on towards the site, but this time, now that they're on the defense, will they also be a bulldozer and push forward? Well, let's ask the panelists. Mika and Dax, what do you think?
They continue on like this, I certainly think so. I mean, that is exactly what I expected from RRQ Kaguya here, especially since, you know, Alaka might not be on the duelist throne, but you know, she certainly still is acting like it. I mean, you see the stats there, and I feel like, you know, it's definitely the style that RRQ definitely have honed here.
Yeah, you can't get rid of the duelist mindset in you, but we've seen this a lot from RRQ Kaguya, where they can find the right timings to be aggressive, find the right situations to actually get in there. And I feel like even though you think, right, for big side, they have this double wall to kind of dissuade RRQ Kaguya still finds a way to find that chaos, and that seems to be the biggest problem right now for big side. Initial setups, initial utility, they can be great, but not only are the antics of RRQ Kaguya with the fade, with KO hampering them, but once they collapse towards the side to go for the retake, their positions aren't as refined as RRQ Kaguya's, and despite some numbers disparities like we saw in the last round, it's still RRQ Kaguya who finds a way to get those takedowns, and that's why we have a commanding lead from them.
Exactly. Like that was exemplified, like as you mentioned, by the previous round, right? You did see Oriofilia was in a prime position, but she did get caught out really, really early. And I feel like, you know, for RQ Kaguya, you know, you can throw as much utility as you want in their faces, but that's not really gonna stop them. That's exactly what I said yesterday as well. You know, Ayumi, Aloka, they're just gonna go through it. I mean, there's snake bite there, it's okay. It's just a flesh wound.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
you're
all
just gonna
good.
go through.
I can get new shoes, don't worry. This green goo isn't gonna be a problem. But also, big props also to Best and Capricious. You're seeing right now in their lineup that they're the more flexible players, that they swap around playing controller, they swap around playing initiator. It really is decided by what map they're playing, but the performance is still there, the firepower is still there. And RQ Kaguya, once everything really clicks together, it really reminds us of a certain roster they came from way back when.
Definitely. Good times, good times. And as we bring it back to our map, we're in for more good times here. Will it be big sides or will it be RQ Kaguya?
Will it be more good times, right, Miku and Dax? That's what we're gonna have to see, and it all starts with this pistol round. Donut. I mean, this composition so far, we've been seeing how strong RQ Kaguya are. Can Big Side really find a way to come back on their attacking side?
Well, all they have to do is really organize the chaos that RRQ is throwing their way. And like what Mika mentioned, right? Damage against RRQ isn't going to be enough. You have to really get those kills against the duelist minus the team of RRQ. This time, though, Capricious first kill here against Yumori, no duelist. For the team of Big Size. And easily here, Iceberg just backs away. Saves that snake bite when it is needed the most.
They're not at the front yet, so we don't have to throw out the snake bite. And you know, without the duelist, you can't do what a Yumi does and then just tailwind into the site. So this is truly a big loss. You're talking about duelist mentality, and RQ still embodies it as they peek out of mid.
Another thing that they should consider is the space that they're taking. Because at the moment, at least, no members of RRQ have actually pushed forward, but now they do. They want to go towards the B site, but Alaka here is going to be holding a shorty. I'm so excited to see what will happen, but the peek's out. And Marsh gets that kill, but what they don't know is there's a KO waiting for them there in the wall, and there it is. Surprise, surprise, Alaka gets a kill.
And she instantly swaps over to a classic in case as a second player as well. Such great mechanics. It's all up to Elise. Marsh instantly dismissed. And outside of the pillar, she doesn't have much time left.
10 seconds left.
Tries to go in now, but look at the positions they're holding. So safe, so far back, not exposing themselves. Iceberg, a shot through. Alaka with the right clicks from screens. Just so much weighing down on all these big side players that, well, you know, to answer Mika and Dax's question, it's going to be a good time for RQ Kaguya.
And they are having a good time here with how they just play the defense, right? They didn't really show that much of that aggression that we saw from them during the offensive rounds, but now during the defense, they just are, you know, planted. The discipline is also there for RQ Kaguya, and I think that one kill by Alka, putting the spike in such a dangerous spot, was what won them that round. This time, though, Ayumi just really placing himself forward just to try and get the early kills. And this is what I think was missing from Big Scythe. Because damage is done, but no kills were really, you know, sought after during the defense. And RRQ, they're doing so well in terms of taking away the space from Big Scythe.
Just having that confidence to take up all that space, right? And then falling back if you do get information, but now it's really because they have the guns. They got the first one, but thankfully Yamori taking quick control over B-Link. Now she gets one, but oh my god, punished by Alika with her Marshall. She hears a lot of footsteps up close, so instantly runs away, puts down the fragment, and even throws a 0 point just to check if they are pushing into the site. Toxic screen up by Iceberg. And this is now saved by Alika. She knows they're here. They might have gotten the spike down, but the retake is underway. Turret shot down, and Bess sneaks up from behind. She's here up by defender spawn. Marsh answers back with a shot from the Spectre though. Nanoswarm burned, and that's gonna be Alika. Still trying to go forward. She hops, gets one shot. Caprice just sprays it down. And that's gonna be a double kill to end it all. It's 3-11. RRQ Kaguya picks up yet another.
Yeah, I loved what he did there, and Bess just giving the information down to the other members of RRQ. When she peeked out, she knows that one was too false. That's why I think Capricious was able to just, you know, spray through that wall and get the kill. Marsh there,
one enemy remaining.
Good kill. And even punishing Ayumi there during the first few seconds as they pushed out towards mid, that gave them the space, yes, but it didn't really give them the round. The amount of damage also that Alika was able to do during just throwing in that fragment, you know, as simple as throwing that fragment, and that simple decision to instead of flashing and peeking,
yeah,
and just throwing the fragment, dealing a lot of damage, just really prepped them and leaving Big Scythe bruised while they're defending that spike.
And that's why you could see that, like, every member from RRQ Kaguya are so, yeah, you know, most of them might be like ex-duelists and stuff, Alika especially, but she's adjusted. She's got 14 assists, 15 kills, yes, but these assists just tell you how much that she's done, whether or not it's the 0 point or the flashes, but also that frag just thrown down to buy time and keep herself alive. That's such crucial positioning that the rest of the team used in that retake. So they might have lost 2 players. Ayumi has a Vandal. It's going to be a question of whether or not Big Scythe can start mounting a comeback in this round, because it's 3-11. They lose this, and it's game over. You're going to have RRQ Kaguya match point. In the next round, they're going to have to force by with whatever they can find. Backs against the wall for Big Scythe, and you know, they're just trying to find space.
Yeah, but take note, they did lose their bonus earlier in their buy round, and RRQ new equipped Spectres and Marshals still won that round. Let's see if Big Scythe has the ability for that comeback intervention. Hopes and dreams fall down as Yamori pulls out of the Spectre, but Sky Elise, hope for the team here as she also gets the spike.
Our hopes are brought back up. She gets information up from the flank as well. Her turret was dismissed, so she's gonna be watching out for I believe that's gonna be Bess. Forward with the ghost. Doesn't quite clear the corner. Yumi still alive with the Vandal. Procs that tailwind and suddenly dashes up on top of another obstacle. Capricious uses this and swings out a ball. Elise gotten a quadra, but now on the RDA. She tries to get it, but shut down by Capricious. Picks up a Yumi's Vandal and still swings the other side. Marsh not able to fight back. She gets the kills and the defuse just by shy of a second. RRQ Kaguya has reached match point on their own map pick of Pearl.
Marsh was trying to go big here as well, but Sky Elise, when she was able to string it all together, but against Capricious, I mean, she is also a clutch god in her previous teams. I mean, her win rate when it comes to clutches is very high, and when you're against the type of a Capricious player, then it's gonna be hard. The pressure for, you know, delivering that ace is gonna be high.
Yeah, I see what you did there, but yes, I mean, she's just that confident with the swing. I don't think Skyly's expected and couldn't quite control her aim. So back to it now. This is that forest buy we were talking about. Light shields, some bulldogs, but Big aren't backing down. Yamori with control over the middle uses the elevation to find a shot on towards Ayumi, who hasn't really been able to perform so far, but this is information for RRQ now. Updrafts up and trying to clear out the back site.
You should
Best
run.
dismisses the Seeker, so this again still is information for Big Scythe. Lockdown gets planted and then the Nightfall sent as well.
Planted.
They're trying to fight back. RRQ with Capricious at the helm of it all. Best controls A main and Crescents tries to get rid of her, but she is still so pesky. Oreophilia comes to assist, and now she's finally gone. With control over A main, it's gonna be easier to hold the spike from this one spot. Fragment comes in to flush Oreophilia out of position though. And then Capricious goes in for the swing. Oh my god, they lined up for her. Elka gets another, and Iceberg sticks the defuse all the way through. It's 13-3. Donut Pearl is gone.
Just when you think that there is hope for Big Scythe to try and opt for the comeback, Capricious just says, nope, stop right there. I'm gonna get a collateral kill and then burn those dreams away. I mean, Capricious is just really delivering as we said. As I heard also in the panel, right? She's always going to be a duelist for the team, but now she also delivers as the Fade for RRQ Kaguya, and she's looking at how they performed. I think they really provided so much value of their switches and swaps when it comes to the roles, and I'm really looking forward to map number 2 because Big Scythe, they chose this map. What do you think, Quack?
I mean, hopefully that's where we get to dream more for Big Scythe, right? So, you know what? Our desk will break all of this down. Mika and Dax, what do you guys think?
I thought he was gonna bait us again, Dax. I was waiting for him, like, what you gonna ask?
I felt like it's a nightmare whenever Quack is the one who tosses it to us.
I know, exactly. But it's definitely not a nightmare at all for RRQ Kaguya. They are definitely looking like they're making it out of this lower bracket so far. Up against Big Scythe, it's 13-3, I believe. And it's just so difficult for Big Scythe, even if they do have Oreophilia on their side.
Yeah, it seems like for Big Scythe, it just falls apart when we come to those crucial scenarios. Yet again, it ends with players lining on up, players swinging in these awkward angles and getting hit by collaterals, hit by the stellar angles taken by RRQ Kaguya. And RRQ Kaguya is happy to take those kind of gifts. They're a very aggressive roster from what we've seen. They're always in position to come and collect. And as you can see right now, Alaka, of course, when she's on that KO, she's still one of the peskiest players that you have to deal with. Very critical to put RRQ always in a good spot to play aggressively, and she provides that for Ayumi and then takes whatever Ayumi space makes, and the rest of the roster follows suit.
Yep, as we like to say, duelist is a mindset, right? And that's certainly the case for Aluka. I feel like for RRQ, starting on the attacking side was such a momentum boost for them, right? And once they get the momentum rolling, they don't stop. And that was a big problem for Big Scythe as well. They couldn't exactly find a way to get into the right position to be able to get an advantage over RRQ, because RRQ, they knew exactly where to go. They knew exactly how to control everything and bully even Big Scythe here.
Yeah, it's the mindset of being a bit more aggressive here for RRQ. I know we've said it a bunch already, but it's also assisted by the fact that they run this Fade along the way. Just Capricious, already an aggressive player, willing to actually just set things up well. You have that double wall set up, and we've seen this kind of back-to-back basically between the controllers. Whoever's dissuaded more is gonna be the one who falters, and RRQ Kaguya, they're the ones who stand tall, proud, and are willing to go headfirst into the action.
Especially with Aluka here as their MVP, right? I feel like for Big Scythe, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. I did sense a lot of hesitation from the group, and it felt like they weren't exactly comfortable on Pearl. And as we go into their map pick, which will be Ascent, I'm hoping that we do see a lot more confidence from them. I'm hoping that we do see a lot more of like the strategy, the plan Bs come into play here, because it felt like on Pearl they didn't once the first part of the round didn't exactly go their way, they weren't exactly sure what to do, and it was just so easy for RRQ Kaguya to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and we've seen in their matchup against Orangutan X when they have strong anchors, especially on defense, as well as a head start because of the initial contact. They look so well together, given the time and given the numbers to actually make that plan B. But in the meantime, when RRQ Kaguya is already just taking everything away from them, what is there left to salvage, right?
What is left indeed? It's for RRQ Kaguya to close this out with a 2-0, or for Big Size to begin their comeback. We're gonna find out which one it actually is when we return from this very quick break.
One enemy remaining standing. Player standing. My ult is ready. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
Don't get in my way. Down with.
One enemy remaining.
Enemy down.
One enemy remaining.
I suggest you move!
Enemy down.
One enemy remaining. Seconds left. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
Level low. Level low.
Shot to death last night. Now you're lying in my bed. Must have been a dream last night, but I can hear what you're saying. You were shot to death last night. Where's my cup of coffee? I was dreaming something bad last night. Can't you hear what I'm saying? One gunshot, and I forgot. touched death last night. I see the clock stand still. Nightmares at your heart sometimes, but this is unbelievable. One gunshot, and I forgot to look at you, to look at you, to look at you, to look at you. Two gunshots, and my thoughts. When not with you, when not with you, when not with you, when not with you.
We back again. We back again. I'm bouncing up before they count to 10. We back again. We back again. Tell your mother, brother, sister, and your friends. We back again. We back again. I'm bouncing up before they count to 10. We back again. We back again. Tell your mother, brother, sister, and your friends.
Welcome back, ladies, gents, and everybody in between. We are down to what could be our final map for the day because RRQ Kaguya, they have taken the first map with ease from Big Scythe. And now as we go into Ascent, don't cry, Dax. It's okay. It's okay. Now as we go into Ascent, there is a lot of pressure here on Big Scythe, especially since this is an elimination match. Okay, now you can cry, Dax.
I just wanted to see what the next map was gonna be. Now you're making me tear on up. But truth be told, this is gonna be a very interesting map pick now, especially for Big Scythe, because we were talking about a while ago, Mika. Both RQ Kaguya and Big Scythe faced off against each other in the Swiss stage, and this was the map pick that Big Scythe took away from RRQ Kaguya. It was 13-11. It was as close as can be. I think it was a 6-6 half even at the very start. But for Big Scythe, there are a few adjustments that they do on a map like this that isn't really done so as much on other maps that they play. You might see Ophelia not on the controller role anymore, play that Sova instead. And with a map that they're feeling very confident, I think that's where Big Scythe can just find that recovery, right? They do have some of these slow starts. We've seen it in their matchup against Orangutan X, but once they get the ball rolling, they do become very competitive against any team.
Yeah, they definitely do have a lot of experience here on Ascent as compared to, like, say, the earlier map. But I feel like, RRQ Kaguya, they are definitely coming in with a lot of confidence. And it's like, experience, sure, but it's more of like, I feel like this is Big Scythe's, like, best bet against RRQ Kaguya. But that doesn't exactly mean that they're fantastic or stellar on this map, or that they can't exactly come into this with like full confidence that they will take it. I know that I said that Big Scythe are kind of like a wild card here, but I mean, RQ Kaguya here, they're definitely among the top 3 teams here at Open 2. They don't actually have their eyes, like, they have their eyes on making it out of the lower bracket and going for Team SMG at this point. And Big Scythe is just one of the many teams in their way.
Yeah, it's recovery here for RRQ Kaguya. And sometimes when you're a wild card like Big Scythe, you have your highs, you have your lows, and they're going to need to bring out the highs here just to perform against RRQ. On the other hand, though, we go back to RRQ, and in a map like this, I do believe we're going to get a bit of a rotation. We've seen from RRQ Kaguya that they do sub out both Icebergs and Nabsky now to fit in whatever role player that they need here, which is a little bit different from the usual core that they've had from way before. And instead, it's players like Bess, players like Capricious that we mentioned, that do shift their roles just to fit the roster that RRQ wants in the first place. But one thing that has been stable really all throughout the run this open is a Yumi on the Jet as much as possible. Back then, we would see some shifts between a Yumi and Aluka. There was, of course, both of them are incredible at it, but having a bit more consistency right now from top to bottom here for RRQ Kaguya, because they're having these active roster rotations, will at least cushion the blow, right? You get what I'm trying to say here, Mika, because there's so many shifts right now. RRQ need a few rocks just to hold things together, and I think that's why they're having this kind of setup to begin with.
Yeah, they actually just need to, hunker down a bit and just wait for Big Scythe to play into what they have. I'm a massive fan of their double duelist setup, like as we saw yesterday. But here on Ascent, I feel like I feel like they don't need anything flashy. They don't need any surprises. They don't need any gimmicks here. This map is totally theirs if they can just manage to just make Big Scythe, the experience unfortunately does show, or like the lack of synergy does show rather here, as we saw in Pearl. It's not there quite yet, right? But for RQ Kaguya, it definitely is.
Yeah, and if you see for Big Site, there are players that have performed so far. Sky Elise, we've noticed her to be that new addition for Big Site. She's been a big boon to this roster, just bringing in a lot of damage from the backline, just like Aruma used to do back in Open 1. And of course, Crescent's also stepping up even more. So when there are players like Yamori and Oreo feel struggling, there's still possibility here for Big Site because they don't just rely on their big-time players doing big-time things. They're a squad for good reason. They stuck around for good reason too. And that's the real capacity of Big Site, because you look at them and they really play as a unit when they perform well.
It's really, a big challenge for Big Scythe, especially since they are playing under a lot of pressure right now. This is an elimination match. This could be their final match, so they really do have to give it their all. Ascent is their best bet, yes, but I feel like for RQ Kaguya, like it's not a map that they don't do well on. So I'm expecting a lot more firepower as well here for RQ Kaguya, especially since, as you mentioned, they have their eyes on getting back into that upper bracket against or getting to grand finals rather against Team SMG, and they're just ready to bulldoze their way through. And it's just so difficult for Big Scythe, especially since you have Oreophilia there, you have that that veteran on their side who knows these players so well. And I can feel that maybe if she has more time, perhaps our Open 3, we can expect Big Scythe to come on back a little bit better.
Yeah, knowledge is something else though here, Mika. And I wonder if Big Side can figure out the configuration here of RRQ. But for now, ladies and gents, we're going to be taking a quick little break. And when we return, it will be that second map between RRQ Kaguya as well as Big Side.
Welcome back, guys, to Game Changers APAC Open 2, and we are down to what could potentially be our last map. We just had a little bit of a break, but we are back into it. RRQ Kaguya versus Big Scythe in our first elimination match, and this could be it for Big Scythe, unless they do want that comeback. We are heading into Ascent, and Dax, as we were talking about earlier, it could go either way. Yes, Big Scythe chose this map, but RRQ Kaguya, they're not exactly terrible at this map either.
Yeah, I mean, close margins, right? Back at the Swiss stage, 2 rounds the gap, 13-11 in favor of Big Scythe. That's what gives them the confidence to pick this map yet again. But RRQ Kaguya, they were just so dominant a while ago on Pearl. And if they can keep up with that momentum, that's exactly what will bring them to the next round. And you mentioned it, Mika, elimination match. We'll be saying goodbye to one of these teams today. And Big Scythe is 1 map loss away from being that situation. Can they dig deep though and come on back? Will we see some big performances from players like Oriofilia, players like Yamori, because they're going to be needed here for Big Scythe just to stand toe-to-toe with the high-octane action RRQ Kaguya is bringing to us.
I mean, looking at the previous time these guys faced off on Ascent, which actually wasn't too long ago, it was in the Swiss stages, the score was very, very close. It was 13-11 here. And I don't think you can, RRQ Kaguya is going to let Big Scythe get away with that again this time around, especially since, as you mentioned, it's an elimination match. There's a whole other kind of pressure that comes into it when your tournament life is on the line.
Yeah, RRQ Kaguya, they have a bit of a chip on their shoulder on a map like this. Their loss against Orangutan X have made them rethink their plans on Ascent. Yes, it's pretty much the same composition that they've run for so very long, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that KO yet again as per usual. But I'm looking to see who is actually playing right now, and as you can notice, it's Nabsky into the roster here for the side of RRQ Kaguya, replacing Iceberg from the previous map. It's been their rotation so far in this open, but RRQ changed things up here, Mika. And we were expecting the KO comp that Big Scythe was running for a mirror. Instead, we get Breach and Fade together.
With the KO as well, triple initiator here, and no sentinel here on Ascent. Meanwhile, on the side of Big Scythe, no surprises here. They want something that is tried, tested, and true, right? RRQ Kaguya though, what are you up to here? I'm definitely excited to see Ayumi back, on the jet as usual. But this triple initiator setup, I'm excited by it, but I'm also like, oh my gosh, what are you guys doing? And are you guys sure? Or do they want to take this to map 3? I'm not sure. But Big Scythe, it seems like if they just stay with what is stable and, what they know, this, I feel like with RRQ Kaguya, this could, lead to some potential mistakes unless they have a really strong game plan.
Yeah, they're going to be very oppressive on the main angles, especially if we see Big Scythe be a bit too aggressive. That's when RRQ Kaguya can strike. But beyond that, some of the step-up roles here for Big Scythe, you see it, the Sova on Oriofilia. I'm waiting to see what Big Scythe has in store for us.
Well, don't need to wait too long because we can throw it over to our casters to get into Ascent, our second map of the day. Casters, take it away.
Well, like a panelist talked about, is consistency going to be key, or does that composition just kind of change everything? They were talking about it. 13-11 was the last time that they played on this map. RRQ has a chip on their shoulder, and they are bringing that chip to a whole new level. This is now, I don't know, Donut. Fade and Breach on Ascent. And a
Plus
KO.
the KO. Yeah. I mean, with that triple initiator composition, I think it can offer them a lot. Probably they did a VOD review of their match during the Swiss stages, and they realized that they were lacking some information, right? Initially, it was just the Sova and... Sorry, it was just the KO that they used, Sova and KO, but this time they wanted to change it up. Probably they wanted to be more aggressive against Big Scythe's very calm and collected type of gameplay here in the map of Ascent. We see some, and I think they wanted to just really bring in the chaos, just like how they played in the map of Pearl, bringing in the chaos with the Breach, the Fade, and everything all together. I think that's a good combination to try and counter Big Swin here in Ascent.
And I just want to point out, this is also the first time that we're seeing Nabsky play Fade, because she's usually on the Sentinel role on agents like Killjoy, Cypher, but now a little bit different. The entire team holds back. They got the information, and Ayumi instantly picked outside of tiles. Elise is gone. Yamori answers back though, and that's the jet diff. Alka still able to hold up by tree. Pop flash outside of the dark cover
enemy
and just
standing.
tries to fend them off. They're
down,
trying to make their way through, not able to pass through safely. As Nabsky answers back, it's the classic again, swaps it over for a ghost. Pistol round won by RRQ.
Yeah, that's the good thing about that composition, right? Through the smoke, you can just throw in that haunt, and then the silhouette of body just gives you information where they are, and even that follow through with a prowler, as it is gonna pounce on you immediately. You know, a barrage of all of the bullets come through, and RRQ get the win. Although, of course, Yamori was able to take down that aggression of Ayumi, it still wasn't enough. Ayumi is still here in mid, just keeping her position, and nobody's gonna stop me until I get the kill.
That's okay. An instant confirmation. Now super aggressive for Yumi. Vandal bot up, and she's going for those frags. Picked on up by Tiles. There's another player still stuck up to the side. The entire team behind her as well. They just shred through all of these big side players as they try to gain control over mid. A part of the map which should rather be theirs.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, right, I think I see the reason why they chose that initiator pick, at least 3 for RRQ Kaguya. It was the stuns of Capricious just really right smack in the middle of where they were standing, even the fragment for Alaka to try and stop them from pushing so that they will gain that space in mid. And I think that's how they would want to play this, right? Slow and steady, throw in that ability, and then gain that control. Look at that dash in, Ayumi! Not stopping at all, getting the triple kill, even the fourth one. Skylease is behind the box. Is she gonna get the ace? No. So Skylease answers back with her own. Nabsky was just gonna shut her down.
Well, I mean, what a way to start off and to collect on that bonus. Just instantly into the corner, non-stop strafing to the right, and with a pop flash from Alka as well. Such a well-timed lineup, and everyone from Big Side got completely blinded. Skylease was the only one, even tried to resend her crosshair back for the third frag, but because of Napsky's Spectre, the recall shot up way too much. Aim punch to heavens. It's gonna be round number 4, and we start things off with a pick from Ayumi. No way you peek outside of top mid again.
Yeah, I loved with how she moves in the map. She always knows. She appears to know what she's doing. You know that dash in when she did to the side and she expected somebody to be there. She already pre-aimed. She was ready. Even with this operator kill, she anticipated a quick peek out from Yamori and she gets the kill.
I'll tell you that much, this is going to be very different from the time that they played in the group stage. It was 13-11, and round 3 was collected on by Big Side, but now with the bonus gone over to RQ, with the third frag going over to RQ as well. Yeah. There are only 2 players left,
One enemy
and
remaining.
they are very likely going to be
down,
winning this one. Skylease trying to stay alive with a shadow and a dream. She fires back, dismisses the Prowler, tries to watch for the next angle, but Ayumi is up by Defender Spawn. I am very, very scared, Donut. Skylease, like just a tiny peek, a shoulder, and that's all that Ayumi needs. A triple kill in the round and still holding on to those blades. It's a 4-0, perfect start for RQ.
Yeah, I mean, when Ayumi is holding that operator, she should really get scared about that. I mean, the first kill here, the jump peek, quick to pull the trigger, and even for this one, very methodic for reposition towards B main. Even the last one here, a slow peek from Skylease is gonna punish her. Now an immediate timeout for Big Scythe, because I think this is also what happened to them in the map of Pearl. After RRQ did string in a couple of rounds, they want to really halt everything first. Let's take a deep breath, take a pause, and reassess, right? And I think this is where they should apply their learnings from the map of Pearl, wherein they have to reorganize that chaos that RRQ is bringing to them. And given Pearl, right, they don't want to give that away. And how do they counter the triple initiator composition of RRQ, which really rewards them each and every round?
it's something that you really have to be aware of, and how RRQ Kaguya are really confident in finding these duels right now as soon as the barriers drop, right? For Big Scythe, you know, maybe he's just tapping on that pause button. Have we gone too fast in the previous rounds? Because we see how aggressive RRQ Kaguya can be. Perhaps a default hold at the start for just the initial 30 seconds might give us a little bit more room. But now, Prowlers, flashes, a Yumi peeking outside of B main. I'm hoping that Big Scythe is aware of this. The C's, just a bit of a warning as well. They're still around this area outside of tiles and B lobby though. There are so many warning signs right now.
Yeah, but they do want to slow down. They're just keeping their bodies close to tiles just to avoid that. But oh, hello, Ayumi's here, takes down Crescents, and she peeks out again.
Wow.
She is minded though.
Well, I can admire this fight that Big Scythe has in them. They want to take that shot against Ayumi. The paranoia instantly sent out. They get a bit more space up around B main, but you can see the positioning. The blades start being popped. All they have to do is to fall back for a tiny second, trying to make sure that they can't get their way safely onto site. Ayumi updraft upwards, tries to get a second one, not quite there yet. Oreophilia answers back. Sky Elite trying to hold down B main, but the entire squad has already made their way onto the site itself. It's going to be Alika doing what she can from defender spawn. 2 players remaining, and they manage to stick the spike down. Alika, what do you have? A flashpoint, but not quite able to toss it out as Oreophilia holds the angle up from the stairs. Big Scythe off the timeout. They get a round win.
This is what we want to see from Oreophilia, right? Initially, the desk really set a lot of expectations for her. She knows her opponents. She has been teammates with them before, and she is the big brain behind Big Scythe. So now she does deliver at least the 2 kills as she pushed in the B site, and the final blow towards Alika, I think, is really what sealed the deal. Now they have to continue this. They have to be slow. Them pushing that operator of Ayumi was, I mean, it took a lot of courage for them to do so, but it's effective for them.
I really like the courage, but they gotta be a little bit calculative about how they want to do this. The first pick already gone off, and that's Marsh, your controller. No smokes for the rest of the round. You can't cover up entrances, and all of these angles are just being held by RRQ's players. Napsky might have taken a tag, but this is again information for the team. The spike might be towards top mid, but Ayumi's there watching those angles up by A main. So RRQ Kaguya has all their bases covered, and just bearing in mind again, although Big Scythe won the previous round, this is an elimination match. They need more than just one if they are to take this to a map 3.
You are slow here. And towards the small cubby is Alika tucked in. She does. She's tempted to peek out, but the timing has to be perfect. She throws in the flash and the fragment as well to try and slow them down. Flashes come in too, but it's just really to get away.
It's just such impressive utility usage. Burns down the timer to about 15 seconds still. The entire team turning this one tree area into a choke point. Skyleash tries to go for some wallbang, but lo and behold, nobody's on the other side, and Ayumi's playing safe, trying to hold on to the operator. Alika getting the 3rd frag in the round, and this entire area was just hers to hold.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the amount of time that she was able to buy down A, but it wasn't really bought for herself. She was able to reposition, yes, but that time allowed the members of RRQ to have already rotated on the site. So even if she was taken down, I mean, the members of RRQ Guya, they would be ready and just waiting for them, like a cavalry there in the A site. So I loved how Alika played that round. It provided them a lot of impact, and not allowing Big Scythe to get another round in their favor, I guess.
Yeah, it's that idea of momentum again, don't it? And RQ has it in full. You're talking about the cavalry, and that's really the entire squad. So fast, so quick to respond. Big Scythe. Need your Mori to be a consistent fragger, and she's trying to open up these sites. She's managed to come up with a bit of space, but look at the C's. Just well timed from Napsky. Again, the cavalry is here. And Capricious and Napsky able to find a couple. The trades go through as well, though, as there are a couple of players outside of B main still. They were halted with their advances because of that utility from Alaka. So now, Spike's still in hand. We're just gonna use the From the Shadows, get ourselves over onto the A site. Spike planted. We managed to give ourselves a little bit of a bonus in economy. Can we still win out this 2-on-2 though? That's the question. Oreophilia has to make a quick move, because if she's too slow, she has a Vandal. If Marsh is gone, that could be the Spike defused. Marsh tries to keep herself hidden,
remaining.
but unfortunately gets found out by Bess. Oreophilia appears outside on the top of heaven, but can't quite land the shot. Oh gosh. The burst just wasn't there. Bess somehow able to sidestep across all of it. Gives herself the defuse, and that's just gonna be another round for RRQ.
Yeah, I mean, Oreophilia separated from Marsh was really what lost him that round. It was a good use of that ultimate from the shadows, try to have a safe plant there in A, but because she wasn't as quick when it comes to the rotations, then RRQ already had a sight for themselves, and given that quick reaction from Bess to looking at A main back to A heaven, that's just some. I think what RRQ has the edge here is really how fast they are in terms of thinking, how fast they are in terms of rotations, and how fast they are when it comes to the responses against what Big Scythe is throwing at them.
It's just, again, so quick. Napsky, first point of contact, but then the trade comes through. Capricious is just waiting on the other side. I'm not sure if her judge has been sounded off yet, but now surely it has. A shot to the head, and Yamori entirely engulfed in those bullets, those shells. Big Scythe not quite able to push on through, and RQ has managed to put up this wall, and they fall back onto the site. The rest of the squad just waiting out for that aftershock as well. Reaggressing still into B main. Yumi's waiting on the other side with the operator. Down B. One player remaining. Sky Elise not quite able to do it all. A second shot from Ayumi ends it, and that is now 7-1 for RRQ.
I mean, Ayumi's been holding on to this operator ever since. I mean, she could have won a new one, but she's been using that operator and delivering kills. Each time one peeks out, and even if she dashes away, she still gets that fadeaway shot. I mean, that's so beautiful showing for RRQ, especially with Ayumi. Look at her KDA. She is 13-4 at the moment. Even if she holds these very peculiar angles, she still delivers the kill.
It's because of these angles. I guess Big Scythe really just doesn't expect it. The turret place, though, and the shot being sounded off, does inform them that we probably don't want to peek out of top mid. So we're going to leave Sky Elise there on a lurk. The rest of the team trying to break their way throughout A main. If they can take Bess down, they will have the site, and that is what they need right now, desperately. They managed to take her down, and that's good. But here comes Ayumi from the top of heaven. Napsky able to find a shot as well, and Crescent answers back with a trade. All of the utility going to the top of heaven just to push Ayumi back. She's managed to swap her operator for a Vandal now, so slightly better chances. Alaka coming up with a flank through A main. A pop flash through, and Sky Elise managing to click at the right time. That's Alaka gone. Now all they have to be concerned about is the players dropping outside of heaven. Capricious, judge in hand, doesn't have the range. Managed to go for a flash, but that's all she can do. Big Scythe. With this hit onto Bess, they managed to claim the A site and a second round win.
Yeah, the decision of Big Scythe to just push forward and B, even if there were flanks and Stylus just holding down and ensuring that there is no further push from Alaka, was just something that they they decided on quickly. I think I mentioned this before, that one of the things that Big Sight really had to improve on would be their quick thinking mid-round, early in the round, and that's what they delivered. I think one of the things also that RRQ fell short with for that specific round was Aloka's utility. There was no Molly to use. Yumi here, and delivering the kills, one for each. You get a kill. Ayumi gets a kill. Everybody gets a kill.
Everybody. you were talking about the mid-rounding donut, but I guess there is no mid-round to kind of adapt around if you just go out for the opening picks that way, despite being on the defensive side. And that's something that Ayumi is so well known to do. Capricious able to support Nevsky as the nightfall goes out. Oreophilia just trying to keep herself alive, but here comes the updraft, a downward shot, and Oreophilia's head gone.
It all started with those 2 kills that RRQ was able to get there towards a lobby, and then everything fell down for Big Scythe already. I mean, Oreophilia did try her best to make her way towards the site, but if you're going to be against a Yumi and her mobility, it's not going to be enough. She's already increased her kills ever since we pointed it out, now at 16 and 5. And against Big Scythe, they haven't really actively sought all of those skills. Like, when it comes to the first blood, it's usually RRQ delivering it. They peek out, they actively do so, and they're not even afraid to get peeked out by either Yamori or by Crescents. They just know that they're gonna win the duels.
You should run.
Very confident and very tough for Big Scythe to find those 4v5 to round win conversions. We're gonna bank on it though this time. It's a full-on 5-on-5, and with the lockdown in hand, they're trying to go all the way through. They managed to do it. Crescents watching the angle up by logs. Yamori dashing straight onto the site. It's gonna be those players instantly dismissed.
Spike planted.
3-on-5 retake. Can RRQ do this? They're gonna be detained for a second thanks to that 0 point from Crescents once more. Further information, and now Ayumi tries to turn things around. She's gonna get wallbanged though. Sky Elise all the way inside of B main. And now all that's left are the final 2 angles. Market as well as the vendor spawn. Best tries to fight back with a Phantom, but Sky Elise gets the final shot. 3-round wins for Big Scythe now, and this is not over yet.
Yep, it's not yet over. And the use of that lockdown there for Big was what won them that round. Sky Elise just putting it down at the right moment, and Yamori choosing to actually dash towards the site instead of lane, because she knows that that could be, you know, dangerous territory.
It's one of those things that gives a team so much space, and at the same time, so smart of the rest of them to watch for that logs position. Last round of the first half now, and Ayumi back on the operator. This time switching positions up to a short position that was best played by Alika. Doesn't quite see anyone there yet though, and that's going to be now Big Scythe. Slowly peeking their heads over. Ayumi hides from the girl. Crescent sneaks up and spots her out though. But here comes the trade from Alika. Once more, mid-under contest. And we see if these players can find ways to convert the round.
Ayumi was able to at least dodge the drone, but you can't dodge the bullets of Crescents. I mean, there was an instant trade there by Alika. Now there's no KO, but Nabsky here just repositions, and I love that she repositions there. You know that it's a sentinel type of thinking if you wanna, you know, reposition there.
Wow.
And her quick jump away to Yamori is there for that.
Oh.
Whoa! She jumps out.
Player
It's a kill,
standing.
and Capricious
Spike
delivers
down
one.
B.
Yeah, just instantly trading for her teammate, Marsh.
One enemy
Just
remaining.
getting that other frag. We turn things into a 1-on-2. Make that a 1-on-1 as Oreophilia finds yet
seconds
another.
left.
She's running out of time though, 10 seconds remaining. And despite Capricious being down to 11 HP, she's just able to keep that spike under her purview, sneaking all the way around Canoe. What? Oh no, Oreophilia not
Feeling
able
area.
to hop
Switching
upwards. We end this first half 9-3.
That last round was amazing. Imagine just a loose bullet just shot through that wall, then it could have been their round, but nope, it went RRQ's favor, and now we're down 9-3. Let's see what the panelists will say. Do they believe in the 9-3 curse?
I don't know. It kind of depends, I think, on who's casting.
Yeah.
But that last round must have been so frustrating for Big Scythe, especially since it was down to Oreophilia. But I feel like there's so many rounds that went that way. That was so close, and it's just like a little bit of that hesitation once again, or that the positioning for RQ was also just so on point. I mean, Nabsky in that last round was just a prime example of how it was.
Look, it feels like that story, that half, is a tale of 3 different thirds. The first third, RRQ Kaguya's way, very oppressive with a triple initiator. You could see from every single one of them, as soon as they throw down that utility, it's just such a struggle for Big Side. Then the second third, the operator, of course, was out. Ayumi was in command, and just rounds absolutely defined by her. But by the third of that first half, Mika, you can see that Big Side had a few more of those answers. They could get in position, they could sneak their way past the initial utility courtesy of RRQ Kaguya, and when they struck, it was convincing to make their way towards the side. Just unfortunate in that last round, right, where they lost a spike along the way and they couldn't retrieve it near the end.
Yeah, they managed to catch or kind of like break the rhythm of RRQ Kaguya, right? But I feel like they were kind of like getting into their own heads a little bit once they started doing that. Maybe the pressure started getting to them. Maybe it was just like RQ Kaguya probably also had had a little bit more of that intimidation coming in, especially now that the rounds are going to now that the halves are going to switch, and now it's back to 0-4, or like these two teams have to restart as they step into the second half. It's going to be difficult for Big Size to try and get that moral momentum in their favor, but we're going to see if they can do just that as we toss it on over to our casters.
Now let's see if that momentum can be swung back, and maybe if we can get ourselves out of our heads, because this is that 9-3. The pistol round is so crucial for Big Scythe as we start the second half, don't it?
Yeah, I mean, during the first, we would always refer back to their Swiss stage match in Ascent, right? They finished a 66, but this time, with RRQ starting off on the defense, it seemed as if that they're really stronger on the defense. But now that they have the triple initiator, let's see how they will use all of those utilities. Will they actively seek that information, or will they just really pause and take their time and then provide that element of surprise with all of the prowlers, the C's, and even the haunts from Nabsky? It's how they use it, right? And it's about how Big is able to swing back that momentum.
Certainly they're trying to work around the information that they already have up by bottom mid. But at the same time, you were talking about mid-rounding before, and that's something that RRQ has so many options to do with now that they have the entire squad alive. Smoking off tree, the rest of them trying to make their way through. Presence, because she's suppressed, she can't throw down a fragment, unlike what Alika did before. So it comes down to the site, and that's going to be Marsh hiding inside of her own dark cover, trying to anchor it down. Right click is all that she can get, and 2 players gone from Big. It's gonna be a big trouble if they can't find this retake. RQ though, look at how they're watching these post plant positions. A secondary dark cover just blocks off this one more position. Oreophilia trying to find a blind shot, but it doesn't quite connect onto anyone. A little bit of a gap on the other side, but it's still being watched under Spez's careful eye. A sudden swing, and Oreophilia tries to fight back. They're still holding it by Generator though, but with the drop from Sky Elise off the top of heaven, they take them down, and Big Scythe fights to live another day.
They didn't have the numbers advantage, but they took it anyway. They said numbers don't really matter if you do it well. And what they did was they waited until the last minute to strike. They got the one enemy remaining, leading the charge, and as as Skylise was jumping down from heaven, they were all brought down with her. And I loved how Big Scythe was just able to do everything in just a snap. And everybody else from RRQ just, disintegrated into another round. And this time, I think this is now the start of something new, what you expected. The momentum, getting the pistol round, probably getting the second two because of their buys. But let's see if RRQ is able to just give this to Big Scythe.
It is possible. The last time that these two played, they ended off the first half 6-6, but Big Scythe on their defensive side is where things really turned around. They managed to find the 7 more rounds to close out the map because of their defense, because of how they play these positions and how they're able to turn things around. But at the same time, you got to think RQ has a different composition now, and with these initiators perhaps trying to play them like pseudo duelists, they could be able to turn things around as well. We've got a Yumi and Alka on sheriffs. They are looking for some picks. Big aren't really giving them the angles though, given how far back they're playing. Alka just trying to explore and prod towards Yamori's position, does manage to buy her attention for a second. Now the rest of the team able to collapse in through. They did not quite check the outside of the dark cover. So Skylise will spring forward. So many of them banged up. Alka able to sneak her way through. She picks up one of those bulldogs. And she's got one flashpoint to work with as well. Spike not with her though. That's why the timer is running out. Oreophilia just trying to watch those angles, trying to make sure that the round ends with this kill. The third frag in the round for this girl, and Big Scythe at a 5-9.
There was no more time to climb down the Spike, but Alka did her best to be able to at least punish that economy of Big Scythe. They were left with one Spectre and a Bulldog, but the rest they have to make do with just frenzies, a Sheriff. They would need more than enough for the next round. If and when RRQ Kaguya wins this round, it's going to be another big lead for Big Scythe to try and climb. And RRQ, when it comes to the attacking rounds, they haven't really been able to at least try and get the first few kills. It's always Big Scythe getting the first bloods. And Big Scythe, as you mentioned, they're looking better and solid here in the defense, positions-wise, utility-wise, and even, holding down the angles and getting the kills.
You're talking about the first pick on it, and this time it goes to the way of RQ, but look at how Marsh controls the site. A stinger, CQB, she dances in and out of her dark cover, allows for Oreophilia to come with more trades, and that leaves Alka as the last one left. Swaps to the sidearm, crescents with the frenzy, just feeds on the bodies and the corpses of the players on the site. 6-9, Big Scythe answers back with a bonus round win of their own.
Yeah, Marsh has been doing so well with using her own dark cover and then just playing around in it and trying to get the kills. And who would really think that a stinger hiding behind that smoke will actually be your demise for Team RRQ? Just mind you, that was their whole buy. All that Big Scythe had was a stinger, a Spectre and then a Bulldog, but they made it happen just because of how they used their utility and how Marsh danced around that site, getting all of the kills.
Yeah, it's such a big brain dark cover just to place it on the site itself rather than, maybe toss it towards where the door could be or just covering a main, right? It's very quick, it's very fast, and something that RQ Kaguya didn't quite expect. So now off of that loss, they're calling a timeout. Maybe A site isn't quite the answer now, because they've tried to go to this one spot for the past couple of rounds and it doesn't really work out. When they tried to go in towards B, they weren't quite able to get the spike planted, but that was just because they had pistols against Big Scythe's Spectres. So maybe a slightly different approach. Maybe if we just disable Marsh, and we will be able to get a site.
We're going out.
Probably that's going to be something that they plan to do here. Marsh took a peek here on a main, but she immediately just backs away. At least gives that information though to members. That's why Yamori's just Waiting here. Rotations come in, and given the all of the killjoy utilities laid out here in the B site, might be a challenge for RRQ as they push forward.
Using Prowler to clear a cubby, but you're talking about those utilities, Donut. It's a lot of utility and a lot of players on this B site. This does not look safe. Look at how Crescent's is just waiting to send out that pop flash. Yamori with an operator of her own now, as opposed to use her before. Pop flash through a sudden timed shot,
Spike
and
down,
that's going to
B.
be 3 players dropped.
Player standing.
4 if you count 1 from RQ, but even with the Yumi sneaked up in towards market, she cannot dash out. Sky Elise, the final shot to her head, and Big Scythe are on a roll.
Yeah, I mean, when you said and pointed out that they're very prepared for the defense, I did not expect stringing 4 rounds straight at the start of the second half. And RRQ, initially they had a commanding lead. Now they don't. I mean, the gap is too narrow now for them, and they don't have to be complacent. They still have a 2-point lead, but I don't think it's going to be enough given how Big is playing this. They have these setups, they have these sly, quick flashes from the KO. Now RRQ, they respond with should be.
Yeah, when all this Gulas just rush B, I suppose. Yamori still so daring. Outside of dark cover, finds one pick as they try to go down lane. So we're gonna have Best outside of Lumber, waiting for her to peek out again. Hunter's free from Orphelia, trying to clear out some of the more common positions, but it doesn't quite connect onto anyone. So now as soon as they peek out, it's up to Best, and she lands the spray. Natsuki here to assist as well. Swapping over to Sidearm, gets a dig, but not the frag. Crescent stays alive, and that brings us to a 3-on-2. Alika just trying to hold them at bay. Yumi peeks out with a Judge, though. Can't quite get the lockdown off. So it's just down to this one little corner, but Alika holds the spray! Oh my god, a triple kill, and she keeps the round alive! RRQ wins it to 10-7 because of this one position.
She held on to that thin string, and she pulled it away from Big Sight. That was already the lockdown.
One enemy remaining.
It was a 1v3, but that small pocket saved her for that round and saved them from making the scoreline even. And RRQ, they're just delivering all of these flashy plays, and Alka just rises to the occasion. We want to see more of those clutches.
I just can't believe that happened. And sometimes you have everything going right in the book, tactically speaking, but then players like Alika still manage to come out of it mechanically. Marsh now trying to do something similar. She's inside of Wine. She's got the paranoia set up, and possibly for her teammate Sky Elise to peek out along with it. RRQ, though, sensing that information, they're just going to back themselves out of it slowly. And we're back to exploring the map towards mid.
Yeah, they just really wanted to get all of those orbs, and they send out 3 people to do so that they're successful. And now they push up towards mid. Cloudburst trying to give them cover, but damage is done.
And this time, talking about damage, it's just gonna be RRQ still pressing forward. They're pressing it where it hurts. Alka, despite being left on the lurk, does get sussed out. The timings are a little bit all twisted now because RRQ's managed to set themselves up on this site. Spike planted and post-plant positions locked. Look at this crossfire. Logs as well as outside of the door. Anyone that peeks through, if you don't have utilities set up, you're going to be in trouble. A big spray from Capricious, and the final one left. She swaps to the sidearm, bailed out by Bess, and this is RRQ 11-7. Has Big Scythe lost too many rounds in the first half for themselves to come back?
Yeah, or at least Capricious was just really at the right place at the right time. The saving grace for that round, together with Alika, was able to, pin down one in the middle. But the saving grace was really, if you were best, you're already paranoid, you can't see anything, and good thing Capricious was there. It didn't give anything away, no information at all for Big Sight to work it with. That's why these slide positions with Capricious just really aiming down at them and getting the kills. Now the timeout for Big Sight has come in because even if they did win 4 rounds in a row, RRQ, they are built on momentum. They have to be able to stop this, think of a way on how to counter this, and at the same time, maximize what they can with Yomori's Blade Storm and the From the Shadows from Marsh.
That's right. There's a chance for them to maybe go aggressive on some of these rounds. 4 rounds in a row are great, but we need so much more. That's what I was thinking about, given how the scoreline looks right now. RRQ Kaguya, sometimes the rushes just work that great, and this time it's not just a blind rush as well, with the way that they actually go in with microaggression, just pushing forward a little bit, expecting the pop flash or plays inside of smokes from Big Scythe. They managed to dismiss Crescent straight away. So it's going to be the right call with this one play outside of A main. Yomori does dash up, but that recon bolt doesn't find anyone outside of the lobby. In fact, it's best kind of trying to expect that play, just holding from this elevated angle outside of attacker spawn. Doesn't spot anyone though, so still question remains. The rest of the team headed towards B. Big Scythe seems to have read this.
They do, and that's why they're playing
Face
back.
your fear!
There is that Nightfall, and as well as that Rolling Thunder. All they have to do is really push forward, find the timing. Now Ayumi has taken over the site.
Yeah, one fault line from Capricious just holds them at bay. So good. Pop flash through it. Ayumi, wow, gets totally blinded. You do have a Rolling Thunder though, and it hasn't been popped just yet. 3 agents suppressed, and that is the reason why Crescent's doing her job as the KO. Natsuki tries to fight back outside the stairs, but she hears all the footsteps from lane, and it's all down to Alika. Can't quite answer back. She's stuck in the reload. Sky Elise gets the final kill, and despite being low HP, with all the right reads and the right plays from Crescent, Big Scythe finds another round.
Yeah, that was a great round for Big Scythe, just waiting for them to use all of the ultimates and then push forward and use that 0 point to try and contain whatever RRQ Kaguya had ready for the post plant. But it was down to Alika. She did a 1v3 clutch earlier, but that's a tall order against Big Scythe, and how they played that and how they swarmed in towards the B side. That was something that she couldn't really control, especially in that situation. This time, in terms of that attack, they used both the Nightfall and as well as the Rolling Thunder. But, oh sorry, the Rolling Thunder could be used for this round, but let's see how they use it, because it's going to be the A site.
Yeah, it's a smart way to stop that B rush, but now we're back to the A site. Remember how good Marsh was with her dark cover plays here? Just anchoring down the site, hiding inside of her own smoke, in and out of them. Can she do the same thing? Well, apparently not. She's been tossed up by that Rolling Thunder, and she's been spotted as well. Yomori trying to keep her alive, though. Doesn't quite work out. Only a 4-second. Ayumi able to answer back. We're on to an even footing, except for Bess, who is down at 2 HP. Spike, gotta kind of stick it. A pop flash through. Ayumi tries to hold the angle, launches it. 1 headshot, 2! It's Sky Elise with a double kill of her own. Ever so sharp on the anchoring in the final moments. Big Scythe, they're back to a 9-11.
Alarm bot out.
And Sky Elise, what they did there, and just push forward, is because Bess had the From the Shadows ready. She could have teleported away, but they didn't want to do it, so they caught them off guard, and Sky Elise just mowing them down on the site. And I love how Big Scythe is now striking back. They don't let RRQ just take and claim the site. They give them a little bit of a challenge first, and then when it all boils down to the 2v2, they play together. And just like how it's expected from Big Scythe, like a team play type of play style, is really shown there. That previous round is a testament to it.
You really see all those positions, right? Yomori holding out by A short again. They're trying to anticipate a same push from RRQ, but this time, given the guns, RRQ are actually taking this a lot more slowly than before. Yumi does have the Blade Storm, but how she uses it is going to be a whole other story. Maybe a bit of a double updraft or a sudden dash into a site somewhere. But they have to time it carefully, all right? All the utility has to be there to support her, and given how Big Scythe are reading this, 3 players stacked up on A, Donut, this might not be good.
Not good if, especially if Ayumi doesn't get it with the Blade Storm, but she doesn't. She misses that on the knives, and Yamori and Marsh just hiding behind the boxes. Remaining. They deliver the kills, and it's all down to Bess, all alone. She wants to be able to get the kills. Sly about it, but Oreo has a good idea.
And with that, 2 points away from her ultimate now. Big Scythe. What a comeback. We are down to 11 and 10. This could very well be their map if they are able to string 3 more rounds together in a row. Of course, though, RRQ Kaguya, they get to buy up this round off of that save, and a little bit weird seeing a Yumi whiff on those Blade Storms, those blades. I mean, her teammates got the fault line and everything, and still somehow not quite able to land it. So good job by Big Scythe for being able to hold that down. Now reading it though, Napsky shooting out that 0 point makes a little bit of noise outside of B main. Marsh still jiggle peeking outside of A as well, just trying to get information, but look at how RRQ are playing around this, waiting for the dark cover to dissipate. And how they make their move. Peeking together. Marsh senses it, backs off completely.
All RRQ wants to do is to really claim that orb, collect it for Alaka, but she's far away from completing her ultimate, and all they have is from the Shadows of Bess, which they haven't really utilized at all in the past 4 or 5 rounds. But maybe they're waiting for the right moment to do so. Yumi just dashes in towards the site. They see the foot, and Capricious seals the deal.
Well, Big Scythe are going to be able to see them as well, thanks to Ophelia and her recon bolt. Yamori is able to do a little bit of damage. Not until RRQ trades back and gets the spike planted. Sky Elise, she's in position to place her lockdown. She will best. How are you going to time this? Peaks all of a sudden, and Sky Elise anticipated it in full. The entire squad from Big Scythe just fire back together, and that's the teamwork that you were talking about, Donut. So smart, so good, and they bring us to an 11 and 11.
Big Scythe, they're running for it. They said that they've done it before and then we'll do it again in the same map. We might have adjusted with a triple initiator composition, but our team play here today will still stand strong. And Sky Elise there, just knowing what Bess was thinking. Once the lockdown is placed, then you would assume that there would be somebody flanking, right, to try and destroy it, and she just eliminates everybody in her way. And Big Scythe, I think they do deserve this 11-11 score. In RRQ, they have been struggling with trying to get those clean site entries. They would usually fall, at least 2 members would fall when they try and enter the site, which leaves them a bit injured for the post plant.
Now they're a little bit injured as well, but look at how they're just pinching down this site. Yumi throwing her body in, she's able to get one and then gets traded by Crescents. Everyone's swarming down onto the lone Crescents now, but Yamori fights back as well. Does not expect Capricious from B main though. And this is how RRQ finds that numbers advantage. The drone trying to get a tag onto her. We're going to use the Paranoia from Mars just to buy a little bit more space, but at the same time, a bit of a peek coming out from Alka or Napsky. Both of them now just trying to hold the site now. 2 angles being watched. Up by stairs, turned around at the wrong time, and Napsky is the only one left. Tries to tuck herself neatly underneath lane so that she doesn't get spotted, but Marsh could pop out any second. does manage to find her as she swings upwards, but Oreophilia outside of stairs at the same time. This is going to be Big Scythe reaching match point first. And an RRQ Kaguya that doesn't have that much money for the next round.
Match point.
Yeah, I think this story is going to be about the hare and the tortoise, right? Even if RRQ has raced their way in during the first half, claiming a 93, it's still about the journey. And Big Scythe, they've been slow and steady and very smart about their retakes during the defense. They leave RRQ always injured and bruised, even damaged when they plant down the spike. So they were already roughed up. So when Big Scythe would retake, it's gonna be easy kills for them. Also, the utilities that they use, Marsh just holding that site as an omen anchor. That's very it's very different with how Big Scythe really plays.
I'll find you.
You said it, Donut. Slow and steady wins the race, and that's something that RRQ Kaguya will try to adopt this time around. Even with Big Scythe setups, holding the sights and going in for retakes.
Face your fear!
You're gonna be able to do it this time. Still, the ultimates get sent out from Natsuki, clears out the site, and Big Scythe are very clearly just trying to play it post-plant, play it with the retakes given their ultimates. You're gonna be suppressed by Alaka though. It's just going to happen only for a second. Hunter's Fury now, and Best tries to play around it, buying time, being that thorn in the side outside of Market. 45 HP, and she's gonna get taken out by Yamori. Alka holds the site as well, though, coming in from stairs. She's got the Guardian, Ayumi outside of Market, sees them, goes in for the spray, gets traded. Capricious trying to play back and forth, dances in and out, and she's still very much alive. Natsuki holding the stairs, goes for a sidestep, the Spectre, it lands, and Marsh has to back up, trying to pick her teammate up as well. Paranoia, and tries to push forward now. Her teammate completely gone. Natsuki just swinging out at the right time. So much chaos, but bringing it to order. We go into overtime.
That was their goal, to play for overtime. They didn't want to give Big Scythe that win, because if, like, for example, right, if Big Scythe won that round, it would be another 11-13. And with their change-ups, with RRQ's adjustments, doesn't really give them that reward. So they played for that overtime, and now the sides have been switched yet again. And this is where the magic will happen, right? Who will make the adjustments first? Especially you have 2 rounds to win, 2 straight rounds to win. I feel like given this, I think it's going to be just a seesaw battle. Probably RRQ will win some of the defensive rounds. Big will win the offense. But it's up to them, really. And Bess here tries to play her own sly paranoia.
This is information. Now RRQ should be able to receive them as they make their way in. Crescent's not able to make it out of that fragment. She's going to get blown up by Aluka. So much information now, and not a lot of players left alive for Big Scythe.
Enemy remaining.
Off to the other side, Ayumi scoped in, takes out one, and we're back to Oreophilia. 36 HP. She gets pop flashed. She has the spike and could rotate, but it's gonna be really difficult, Donut. She's still trying to spray and trying to find a pick. 50 seconds, so I mean, really, you have a lot of options, but you're gonna have to watch your back as well, because anyone from RRQ Kaguya could have pushed up mid. And look at Alaka as well, making use of hell, jump peeking. She's managed to spot her out safely, so the rest of the team will stay put. Oreophilia's running out of time, and pretty soon she's gonna have to move forward. Holding the angles, 2 players watching her. That's going to be RRQ Kaguya picking the first round up in overtime.
Switching sides.
And RRQ, they did it so well. Even if Big Scythe during that push, right, they had all the angles covered. Trades after one enemy, but it all flowed like a waterfall for RRQ. When Capricious was there towards the site, and that final kill towards Oreophilia, they just don't want to let Oreophilia clutch it out. for sure. And the timeout for RRQ, this is probably where they should really come up with something different, because they had those unconventional plays during the defense, but in attack it seemed as if that they really were outsmarted by Big Sight each and every round.
Yeah, a lot of those defensive setups, right? Whenever RRQ Kaguya tries to make their way in, they always get banged up and they're unable to hold some of these post-plant positions, especially up by the B site. You would love to see a Yuumi holding outside of market, the off angle. You would have Capricious holding it by logs, turning the whole thing into a crossfire. And at that point, it would have been really tough for Big Scythe. That's something that they did in that final round that pushed us to overtime. Can they do it again, though? That's the question. And given how the spike is positioned, I don't think that that's what they want to do. I feel like they're going to try to play around with this and actually bring the spike over to A. Playing so far back, Donut, and they're just kind of holding those positions. Look at this. Napsky actually stepped into that 0 point just to give a bit of
Can't use that.
perhaps false information.
Bring them down.
Yeah, probably, because they've been winning and losing with those rush B plays towards this site, right? And Sky Elise is gonna be ready for it. That's why she has her turret faced up there, hidden and tucked away, so that she will peek out
Where are you?
in the moment that the turret actually hits that shot. But they are slowing down. I think you're right, Quack. They are creeping their way back to A, but Yomori is going to be a huge threat to this, for sure.
That's the one factor. If they can take her out, then maybe the site is slightly more doable, slightly more pliable. So Dark Cover discourages her away. A bit of noise from the other side, but oh gosh, look at this. Yamori just peeks out of the Dark Cover at the right time. We're back to an even footing. It's gonna be Big Scythe on the retake now. Yumi set herself up underneath of Heaven. Bit of a pop flash and she peeks out. But flash coming in from Crescent again. Well, could have been a teammate. Doesn't really work out for the time being, but at least this is a bit of information. Alka tries to work herself around this, but gets fully blinded. Yumi turns around, takes away Crescent's abilities. And now that's going to be the final player jumping out from Heaven. Yumi popping the blades, puts one to her chest. And the RRQ knocks Big Scythe out of the tournament, 14-12, Donut. It took overtime for us to get to this point.
Yeah, we believed in Big Scythe actually claiming that win again, because they've done it before, they can do it again. And that journey from a 9-3 down to getting the lead to 12-11, and then eventually just losing the overtime, probably because RRQ had the a good blueprint with how they would attack, and then just countered everything that Big Scythe had laid out there in A. I love the combinations of that utility, the paranoia, ensuring that everybody else was blind, there was a stun, and if I were the defender of that A site, that would be so hard to counter.
It was really difficult. Almost winnable with Yamori and all her efforts, but at last, you know, at the end of it, RRQ Kaguya were just a little bit better at adapting. So you know what? Our panelists will break down how exactly they adapted to all of that. So we'll toss it back to Mika and Dax. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much, casters. And you know what? I thought, Dax, we were gonna have history repeat itself here. I saw that scoreline dangerously coming close to that 13-11 that happened with them last time at the Swiss stages. Now I was like, oh no, are we going to a map 3 over here? Oh no, as a talent, by the way, going into a map 3 over here. But oh my gosh, this Big Scythe managed to make actually that comeback. I believed in that in onset.
It's a heartbreaker there for Big Scythe. Yet again, we go into an overtime situation that may make possible a deep run from a 9-3 scoreline to making it the match point first. And then in overtime, that's where they fall on apart. But what a run from Big Scythe. What an effort. It is great to see them here in our open number 2. The first eliminated 23 takedowns also for Yamori. But RRQ, Mika, on that second half and into overtime, it took guts, it took hero plays from players like Ayumi just to win out those final few rounds.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a treat. I mean, there were so many close calls, right? And you had so many, as you mentioned, like all of those hero plays that came out. I do have to point out Crescent's was just so effective on the KO. I would say that, like, you know, she probably had like the most impact on the team, especially when shutting down RRQ Kaguya. I remember that there was that one play wherein, you know, using the turret as bait over on B side and just waiting for the perfect moment to pop that flash. And it just like it was just plays like that that just you know, really gave Big Side so much momentum into the second half, right? But RRQ, you can just tell how momentum reliant they are, and they just needed a reset. They just needed to be able to say, okay, let's go back to zero. Let's act like we're back at zero. It was that overtime, and you just saw it, how the players just basically were able to mentally reset.
And the defense really is where RRQ just looks so much comfy in. But of course, MVP, the one who ended it for RRQ's favor, Ayumi, of course, from the first half, the operator, absolutely stellar. In the second half, trying to find those openings, but really coming alive in overtime, coming alive in that last round. And RRQ honestly needed a hero there to drag them over the finish line, Mika, and Ayumi did deliver.
Yeah, we and I didn't even see RQs, you know, like for example their form yesterday on the double duelist. I feel like they didn't even need to bring that out here on a big size. Perhaps they were taking that, you know, that kind of strategy, giving a little bit of a break. Perhaps we'll see it later on in the lower bracket, but I would say like Ayumi as, you know, as that hard duelist role was definitely a treat here. And the showdown against Yamori actually as well. I do think that like on the side of Big Side, Yamori, you could kind of feel that like maybe like the entry on the duelist like was just like not as deep, I would say, as like maybe Ayumi would. But I just have to applaud really like Big Side. They gave a fantastic fight to RRQ Kaguya here. And I think that like, you know, definitely they'll be one of the names that we'll remember going into Open 3. Unfortunately, we do have to say goodbye to them though right now here on Open 2. I don't think that this was a bad performance at all because I mean, this is RRQ Kaguya that we're talking about right here, Dax.
Yeah, it's a powerhouse over there. And Big Side, they were exceptional, especially during that defense. Just getting the right calls in the right times and getting past whatever utility RRQ would throw at them. But we have our bracket here, Mika. And in the upper bracket, Team SMG versus Full Send Sapphire. Truly the matchup that was promised. And of course, since RRQ won, they're going to be facing off against GE tomorrow. And while we're waiting for further results from the substream, Orangutan is there as well. So I'm looking forward to, honestly, that upper bracket matchup. How about you, though?
Oh yeah, that's gonna be an explosive one for sure. And I feel like here, you know, on the lower bracket, RRQ, they do continue their journey. They will be up against Global Esports Phoenix up next, so it's gonna be a real test once again for Global Esports Phoenix as they meet RRQ because. You know, as you mentioned, like we saw them earlier, they still do need a lot of time to get things together, but time is running out for them, especially if they're going up against RRQ, determined to make it out of the lower bracket. Upper bracket match though, Team SMG, what could they possibly bring out this time?
I don't know what fall. We've used all the agents already, basically, in terms of the roles. Maybe some of the others that weren't picked during their first 4 maps. But speaking of Global Esports versus RRQ, I think GE is going to be using this tape wisely. And notice where RRQ is struggling to actually finish off the executes to when RRQ has those lull moments that someone needs to bail them out, and RRQ has that in spades. They have incredible players individually right now. You have Ayumi, you have Aluka, but we've seen time and time again that they can just pick up those kills. But then, for Global Esports, plans are really what is set, and if they can anti-strat RRQ, maybe we'll get a bigger matchup from them tomorrow.
It's going to be really, really exciting indeed. So I hope you guys tune in for that. Thank you very much for tuning in. This has been Mika, Fabs, and Dax. And we will see you guys tomorrow. And before we wrap up, I just want to say, check up on your friends, check up on your loved ones, and show them a little love today. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Remaining.
You copy.
One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Clutch. One enemy remaining. Cool bridge. Planted. One enemy remaining. Last player. One enemy remaining. Thrifty. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Flawless.
Gotta go.
One enemy. One enemy remaining. Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
Don't get in my way. Downwind.
One enemy remaining.
Enemy down.
One enemy remaining.
I suggest you move.
Enemy down.
One enemy remaining. Left. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy. Beat bastard.
Ground.
One enemy.
Enemy.
One enemy remaining. Strike down B. One enemy. One enemy remaining. Clutch. Standing. One enemy remaining. Standing.
Let's get the money. Let's get Get the